Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Cybersecurity Mentoring Group. Cybersecurity Mentoring Group is a platform where we share, we learn, and we connect with other professionals. What we try to do is bring professionals who are experienced in the field for us to learn from their journey. Sometimes it's better you hear from people who have navigated the journey you are trying to kick off, or maybe contemplating starting. And so we, from time to time, reach out to experts in the field and then invite them to come speak to us. Today, we've done the same. We've brought someone that we believe everyone on the call would get something to go away with. But before we go into the business of the day, I thought to share that I looked at these common vulnerabilities and exposure for Q1 2025. That's January to March, looking at the top vulnerabilities that are out there in the wild. And we had about 12,000, over 12,000 common vulnerabilities and exposures. And 44 of them were confirmed to have been exploited in the wild. So it's important that you understand what these vulnerabilities are, the products that are exposed to these vulnerabilities, and what you can do. So the common vulnerability and exposure, and also the common weakness enumeration helps you to be able to know what you can do to mitigate some of these vulnerabilities. As cybersecurity professionals, you should know about them. You should take them to as an advisory for your product department and your business leaders, so that they know what is out there and how you need to improve your security engagement in the organization. All right, let's go into the business of today. The person we've brought to you today is Akin. I will allow Akin to introduce himself properly, but Akin, so before we started the session, we had some mic check session, and Akin was talking about his background, and Akin said his background, okay, I also saw in his profile, it's from finance. But right now, Akin is in the world of cybersecurity, and I particularly wanted him to share that journey with us and how he navigated, because I know in our WhatsApp group, we have about 180 people. Quite a number of them, from the survey we carried out recently, quite a number of them are looking to come into cybersecurity, but they are currently employed in different trade. And so today, I'm welcoming Akin. Thank you for joining, Akin. I reached out to Akin, and it was our conversation for getting on the program wasn't a difficult one. Thanks so much, Akin. And I think I should give you the floor right away so that we can get into the business of the day. But give me a second. I'll just give you the okay. So maybe I should just make you another person that can
Host.
present, maybe a co-host,
Yeah,
because if once I give you the mic, I don't want to trouble you with the responsibility of admitting people. So I'll just make you another person that can make a present. So give me a second, and then you can take over.
sure, no problem.
Um,
All right, good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Wally, for the introduction, and thank you for this initiative. I think it's something that we need to do to definitely shed more light into this industry and bring people into it. So, thanks again, and
you
quick
can share now.
introduction.
You can
My
share. You
name,
can share now. You can share
okay,
your screen now.
thank you. Let me know when you all can see my screen.
All right. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I was saying, my name is Akin Odedina, and I'm a cybersecurity consultant. Try to call myself a consultant, not an expert or anything, because I believe that in this journey of life, you keep on learning. So Experts, in my own opinion, just pretty much feel means that you've gotten to a level of where you feel like you don't need to improve. So I just like to leave it as a security um, consultant. So I'll be talking today on the topic here, which is transitioning to a recession. I actually um, renamed this to a recession-proof career in cybersecurity without technical skills. And the reason why I did that was because we see what's going on in the world right now. We see how certain industries are beginning to shrink. We saw what the COVID years brought, and we saw how quite a number of roles got diminished, and a lot of people got laid off. But within the cybersecurity industry, people there were still roles, and a lot of people got jobs. And in fact, the way um the importance and vacancy for cybersecurity professionals within the COVID years, it's actually surged up. So it's just made one thing clear that it's actually a recession-proof industry. So transitioning into this recession-proof industry that is becoming a cybersecurity analyst without technical skills, it's very important, and and it is very possible, and we'll talk about it here. All right. So why is this important? I believe that the reason why a lot of you are on this call or on this session is because you have one or two interests in trying to come into this industry, right? And maybe you need more information, you need more clarity as to how to go about it. Perhaps maybe you even feel like you need to do one or two certification, or you need a couple of technical skills that maybe you feel like, oh, it's cybersecurity. I need to know a programming language. I need to know how to code. I need to know how to know Python, know all of that. We'll talk about all of that in this session. I do have a disclaimer, and I always like to do this anytime I speak. And the disclaimer is that I would only speak from experience, experience of what I have gone through or help people go through. I have a few strategies that has worked for me, and I've worked for a couple of my mentees over the years, and that is exactly what I would share with yourself. Okay. Well, first of all, who is this young man right in front of you? My name is Akin Odedina, as I mentioned earlier, and I have I'm coming from a non-technical background. My first degree was in accounting. Right. I graduated from Covenant University in Nigeria. I came to the UK. I'm based in the UK at the moment. I came to the UK to do my master's back in 2008, and it was in accounting and financial management. So I'm sure that I mirror a lot of the um, circumstances or situations that some of you might be going through. That you have no IT experience, you have no IT degree, you have no certifications. Trust me, I've been there. Not one certification, not one, well, as at the time, not one certification, not one technical skill. I knew nothing about IT, but here I am, that I've worked with a few and most of the global organizations to include HSBC Bank, AXA Insurance, Vodafone, Her Majesty, well, His Majesty's government right now in the UK, Hiscox, and the likes, and quite a number of other organizations, right? So, are we ready? I know we can't talk, but I want as much as possible for this to be interactive. So I would like to see a lot of the yes, yes, no, no in the chats in the comment section. I want us to feed off each other's energy. So are we ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Let me see some yeses in the comment section. Yes, yes, yes. Are we good? Awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. Thank you so much. I see the yeses coming in. Right. So if you've been struggling to land a cybersecurity role or to transition, this is probably why, right? And again, I use the word probably. You've probably been chasing certifications and degrees instead of skills. And I will explain what I mean by that. You're a jack of all trades. And as we all know, jack of all trades equals to master of none, right? Again, I will explain what this means in a second. And the third, but most important, is you don't have a mentor who's been where you want to go. This is very important. I cannot overemphasize the importance of mentoring, and this is why I applaud what Mr. Wally is doing currently with this group, with the mentoring group. And again, I would, over the course of the slides and this presentation, I will begin to talk about how it is important and how you should take advantage of the mentoring group that he has created. All right. Now, in cybersecurity, and according to the ISC, right, there are different cybersecurity domains, at least 8 cybersecurity domains. First one is asset security. We have security architecture and engineering. I will just give a brief description of each of this. We have communication and network security, software development security, identity and access management, security assessment and testing, security operations, and security and risk management. So these are all different domains. And I think it's important that you first of all realize that cybersecurity is such a broad industry. It's a huge domain, right? So understanding the area you want to go into would definitely give you some sort of insight into the sort of skills that you should get to break into or to transition into cybersecurity. And one of the things I like to let people know is, as all of these 8 domains are, not all of them are technical, right? Obviously, if you look at a domain like architecture and engineering, definitely you would have to have some technical skill sets. Security operations, to a large extent, you would have to understand a few programming or scripting languages, right? Communication and network security, it's also understandable that you have, because you're looking at communication channels, how data moves within the network. So you need to understand a little bit of network diagramming and a lot of the security protocols, right? However, the 8th domain is still one of the easiest way that I tell people to transition into cybersecurity if you do not have technical skills or certification, and that is security and risk management. Now, we also call this area GRC. If you've ever heard the term GRC, it's an acronym for governance, risk, and compliance. And we'll get into it in depth as we go on. So, another reason why that I see when I speak to people is this: they come to me and they ask me about what certifications can they do to learn into security, and I feel like certifications, uh, even though they are great, they validate your skills. So certification is there to validate your skill set. It's there to validate the competence you have. And I sometimes always flip that to ask them that rather than you focus on certifications, why don't you focus on what skills do I currently have that can complement my knowledge in cybersecurity and help me get into a career in cybersecurity, right? So for me, it's all about mastering in-demand skills, because I believe that the belief system is keeping people stuck where they are. And that belief system is all about you. Before you can get this, you must get this certification, you must get that certification. I know a few people disagree with me when I talk about this, sometimes when I go give talks, but it is what I have seen and it's what I try to let people understand, that certifications, honestly, they it's a conversation starter. They make you desirable, right? Um, but skill sets would actually keep that conversation going. Whilst your certification makes the hiring manager reach out to you, the skill set and competence that you have built would oftentimes help you maintain that conversation. Okay. So, um, so yeah, mastering in-demand skills, which is what I'm saying, is very important. You have to master in-demand skills and specialty. Now, I always try to draw parallels when I talk about this. And one of the analogies I normally give is this: that what's the difference between a neurosurgeon and a medical doctor? I'm asking to you guys on the call, what do you think the difference is, right? A neurosurgeon and a medical doctor. I think, first of all, before we even look at the difference, let's even talk about a few of the commonalities. I mean, they both have university degrees, they both went to med school, right? They have the same core skills. They're operating in a recession proof industry. And both roles are, to a large extent, high-paying salary jobs. What do we think? What do you think the difference is between a neurosurgeon and a Okay, so Sam here is saying a neurosurgeon specializes in an area while a medical doctor is general. Okay, that's awesome. That's good. A neurosurgeon is a specialist, a medical doctor is a generalist. So that's from Temitope as well. You're both correct, right? You're both correct. And I whilst preparing for this, I went to on salary.com and looked at what does a general practitioner, which is a medical doctor, earn in the United States. The average salary of 221,000 US dollars, right? So, what's the big difference in salary here? It's $400,000 per year. And that is because a neurosurgeon has earns an average salary of 671,000 as opposed to 400,000 200,000 that a generalist medical doctor earns. So, why does the neurosurgeon command such a high salary? A lot of you have mentioned it here. He specializes. He is a specialist. I mean, they're both doctors. They both went to, you know, medical school. They both have like the same core skill. But the reason why he earns that much is because he is a specialist. And flip this again to let people understand that oftentimes, it's not really the amount of certifications you have. It's not really the amount of technical degrees, the technical skills you have. Sometimes it's just being that specialist in one area, hone your skills in that particular area, and then you continue to see how progress flows. So, step one is you need to specialize. If you want to transition into cybersecurity, specialize in a niche cybersecurity area that has a massive impact on companies. You know, I spoke about the different 8 domains that exist within cybersecurity. Pick one. If you have no technical skills, go through the security and risk management area. Chances are that in your current job, you're pretty much doing some of the things that is required of a cybersecurity risk management professional to do. And I'll explain that again when we get to another further slide. So, specializing in each cybersecurity area that has a massive impact on companies. And the reason why I put impact is because a paycheck is a direct correlation to the value that you bring to a company. I say it again. Your paycheck is a direct correlation to the value that you bring to a company. And I mentioned earlier on that during the COVID years, cybersecurity folks within the industry, we had the least amount of redundancies. Why? Because we bring value to the organization. We might not necessarily be a revenue generating department, but we're a business enabler. The security department is a business enabler that helps other revenue generating departments to function. Okay. So specializing in governance, risk management, and compliance, which is GRC, is still one of the easiest and fastest ways to transition into a career in cybersecurity without technical skills, without certifications, without degrees, or without any of those technical must haves, right? And the reason is because in this area, there are certain security and data privacy frameworks that every organization has to comply with. I have a non-exhaustive list here. This is just a few. It's a non-exhaustive list here, quite a number. There's a General Data Protection Regulation. There's the European Data Protection Regulation. The Nigerian version is called the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, NDPR. Um, that was published by NITDA, right? We also have the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. So we have the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. We have the NIST Risk Management Framework. We have the ISO, which stands for International Standards Organization, I believe. The 27001 standards. We have the CIS controls. We have the PCIDSS, which stands for Payments Card Industry and Data Security Standards. For companies who process credit card data, and we have SOC 2 And again, this is a non-exhaustive list. There's so many of them out there, right? So it's understanding what this frameworks is saying and try to see if the organization that you're working for is compliant with the requirements of this framework. And that is how impact as an you as a non-technical cybersecurity analyst, how you can offer impact to the organizations that you work with. So helping companies offset the risk of throwing away millions of dollars annually on non-compliance fines and penalties puts you in prime position to become invaluable to the organization. If you are that person that helps them, and this is what the GRC domain does, it helps you put governance frameworks. So the G in GRC stands for governance. Here you're putting governance frameworks in the organization, talking about policies, ensuring policies are in place, ensuring the organization is in line with most of those policies that has to do with data protection. The risk side, the R, which stands for risk management, is you conduct risk assessments. You're looking for areas that hackers or intruders can take advantage of to come into the organization and steal your information, steal the organization's information. And the C is for compliance. So laws like the NDPR, GDPR, all of the regulations, even some of the industry side, like maybe the CBN cybersecurity framework or most of the financial services compliance framework, you are going there to ensure that organizations are compliant with the requirements of this law because of course we know that there are penalties for it. I mean, if you switch on the TV, the news, and you hear that, oh, XYZ company has been slammed with $100 million fine, or this, very, very common organization that gets slammed every other markets day, the Meta Group, they keep getting fined in different jurisdictions, and we all know that. And it's because they deal with massive amounts of data, and it's people like that work in this industry that help organizations to stay out of trouble. I've got a few examples that I put on screen. This is Capital One. So Capital One is a leading US bank in the US, well, obviously in the United States. And this is from a news article, 2022. Capital One to pay $190 million to settle a class action lawsuit on the 2019 data breach. So data breach that happened in 2019, a lot of the affected folks have come in together with a class action lawsuit, and Capital One is paying $190 million. There is a very popular one that took the airwaves when this happened. For those who were familiar with this, it's Equifax. So Equifax is a credit scoring agency, and they had a data breach, and back in 2017. And as part of that data breach, the regulators fined them $700 million to as part of settlements with the US regulator. If we're bringing this down home and making it more relatable, Uber. I'm sure everyone on this call uses Uber, right? They were also fined $148 million for failing to notify drivers that they have been hacked. So again, breach notification is um, one of the areas that you would have to ensure that there are processes for as a security analyst, right? That in the event where there's a breach, you have to notify the regulators as well as the individuals whose data have been breached. But in this instance, we saw that Uber failed to notify the drivers that the data has been breached. In other words, they try to cover it up. And you see the importance of this industry and why it's things like this is important for you folks to take cognizance of this was because of this particular action, the chief security officer of Uber got convicted for covering up the data breach. There's an article. I took this from the United States Justice Department's website. So again, it's letting people understand that this is an important area. And all you need to know is you need to understand the frameworks, you need to understand what the law is saying, and ensure you have processes in place within the organization to meet those particular laws, right? This particular one took the airwaves, especially because the chief security officer got convicted. I think he's been released right now, but obviously he's no longer works with Uber. He was obviously let go, but yeah, he's been freed. But if anything, um, if there's anything this Uber thing did for the industry, as soon as this happened, they went on a massive hiring spree. The whole of LinkedIn was filled with Uber vacancies. They went and they just went on a huge hiring spree, right? And it goes to also let um folks know again that information security shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be embedded into the organization's processes, right? And I say this especially if for those who are new into this industry, that's often more often than not, especially those of us who have been in the industry for a while, we often see situations where when it comes to information security, most organizations are more reactive than proactive. And there is a terminology we use in industry where we say security by default and by design. It's essentially saying that embed information security into all your business processes. As long as you're processing customer information, as long as you have assets or databases that houses personal information of customers, of clients, ensure that every process there has is laced with information security best practices. So one last one before I continue is Target. Now, this an article is over 10 years ago. A lot of people might know this, but Target is a US-based retailer, one of the largest in the United States. They have supermarkets all over the country. They had a data breach, and as much as 70 million customers' information got stolen. 70 million, right? That cost them upwards of $300 million in settlements, fines, lawsuits, compensation, and things like that. Now, the important thing about this, or one of the unique things about this the target's data breach was that they weren't directly hacked. The hackers went through a third-party company that offers services to Target, right? They hacked that company and used the gateway that company has into the target's system to then install malware or install virus. Basically, it's also um it's also another term for malware, right? Install a virus in the network of target and use that to extract customer information. This type of attack is called a third party or a supply chain cyber attack because the main organization wasn't hacked directly, that went through another organization to then hack this main organization. Now, the reason I'm explaining this is also to let you understand a few intricacies when it comes to the threat landscape and why having a knowledge of most of these frameworks is important. So, to put this into context, right? Let's imagine this is the company A. That's the target company, right? This is company B, much smaller organization, but they provide a service to company A, which is a larger organization. And in order for them to provide their service, they have to connect into companies A's network. And they would go through what is called a VPN. Now, a VPN is short for virtual private network. And I want you to see VPN as a tunnel, a secure tunnel where information traffic can go from point A to point B without the inferences of the greater internet. So meaning that it's just a tunnel, and if anyone wants to get access to that information, the perimeter of that tunnel stops them and puts them away because it is secure. So it is just a place from point A to point B to share information. Now we have a hacker here, right? That then wants to hack company A. But because company A has, they've got firewalls in place, they've got active network monitoring controls in place, they know they can't do that. But what do? They then hack company B because they know company B has access into company A's network. So, and that's exactly what happened here. They hacked company B. They were able to extract the credentials that they used to log into the VPN. And the hacker went ahead and used those credentials to log into the VPN to then get access into company's A's network. Irrespective of the malware protection that company A has, the active firewall, this effective security policy, and awareness training that they have. Now, how can we help this company avoid this? So, as a security analyst in this GRC domain, the best way you can help your company prevent a company from this kind of attacks is ensuring that you do what we call the security due diligence, which is more or less like a security risk assessment. So, what could have been done here to prevent this is if the security analyst of target did a risk assessment on company B's network to see if they practice safe security, you know, um, best practices, right? If they have safe security best practices in their network, they would have been able to pinpoint that there was a vulnerability. And what was the vulnerability that happened here? The vulnerability was that um, company B had, even though they had active anti-malware or antivirus software, right? That constantly scans the network to see if there are intrusions or if to see if there are, you know, people in the system. What they had was they had a free version, so it doesn't scan 24/7. It only scans on demand. That is, you have to press a button before the software scans the network to see if there is a virus or if there is an intrusion within the organization. If an analyst had done the risk assessment organization, they would have been able to spot that and would have ensured that they got on a professional version of that software. So these are the kind of things that we do. This is the impact we bring to organizations, right? As a security analyst. And that's what always that makes us valuable. Now, in all of this, I have not mentioned anything about having network security skill sets or certification degrees and all, right? It's just understanding most of this framework. But I'll get into that a bit. Now, another thing I tell people is this that do you think companies will stop accepting credit card payments anytime soon? Do you think? Anyone? Anyone who thinks that maybe the companies will stop accepting credit card payments, maybe eBay will stop collecting payments, maybe Amazon will stop. Do we think so? Is there a possibility? No. Do we think that companies will stop processing customers' personal information anytime soon? Is that even a possibility? No. So, do you begin to see the longevity of cybersecurity as a profession? Because as long as customers, or as long as companies rather, process personal information of customers or credit card information, they have to comply with security frameworks such as PCIDSS, which is the payment card industry one, NDPR, GDPR, ISO 27001, most of these frameworks. And then it puts us as in prime position to ensure that our organization is complying with this framework. So specialty is very important. Specialize in an area. The next one now is mastery. Mastery is equally important as well. And I have a question to ask, and I always ask. So, how many of you studied a foreign language back in school? If you studied a foreign language, just put a one in the comment section. I studied back in secondary school. I studied French. Funny enough, I studied French and German and German. Studied French. I studied, yeah, okay. I can see one. Oh, Temitope says she studied French. Okay, good, good. Now, drop a two in the comment section if you can fluently speak that foreign language you learned in school. So Tope said, Tope, you studied French. Can you speak French? And it's not just the regular comment ça va, comment avez-vous, or whatever it's called. I can't see anybody put two. So, you know, you know, You know what this is? No, we're not talking of Bonjour, no. This is an Bobby says Ijebu. Okay. This is an accurate representation of many folks out there, right? They are certified without skills. And this is the argument and this is the angle I try to come from when I tell folks that don't focus on certification, focus on skills. Because when they ask me, what certification? Oh, they come, Akin, what certification should I get in order to land a cybersecurity job? I tell them, rather than look at it, why don't you think about it? At what skills should I master in order to get a job? Because again, like I said, certification is just a conversation starter, right? But if you cannot carry the conversation with your skill sets, you won't get the job done, right? You won't get the job done. I mean, I have a bunch of certifications. Don't get me wrong. If you check my profile on LinkedIn, you will see certifications there. I have upwards of 10 certification. And sometimes I get called out for that. But I tell people, I say, look, guys, look at the certifications and look at the dates I acquired those certification. I acquired the majority of those certifications during the COVID years because there was a lockdown everywhere around the world. I had time to go and write exams. But in all of this, I was already working in the job without even having one single security certification. I was already in the job. Now I'll explain how I got that. All right. So, COVID years, I had so much time in my hand. I was writing 3 exams in a month. And the reason is because it became easy. It's natural to me. One of the ISACA exams, CSM, that would normally take you maybe 3 hours, I was finishing it in less than an hour because as soon as I see a question, I could relate it to something I've done on the job. And immediately I give an answer. I was finishing this, doing 3 exams in a month, and I was getting a lot of it done, right? So, mastery is critical for success. Very, very critical. But what is mastery? It is knowing why to execute a task or function and its associated impacts, right? So it goes beyond just um, understanding something, but on understanding the reason for that thing you're doing. And a simple example I'll ask everyone on the call here is, why do you install Windows updates? Or better still, okay, fine, let me make it more relatable. Why do you update the apps on your iPhone or on your Android? Why? Why is it important to update your app? So your bank has just released a new update. Why is it important for you to apply that update to, maybe your GT Bank app or your Zenith Bank app? Why is it important to do? Anyone? Security or performance patches? Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. So to get the latest services. Okay, that's fine. So more often than not, and I tell people that when you get master, when you understand, it's most of and Moses, you're not wrong. It is you're removing vulnerable. Thank you, Joshua. You're removing vulnerabilities from critical systems so that we can maintain security as well as achieve our compliance objectives as an organization. So that is what mastery does. It it goes way beyond IT. It's way beyond IT. You need to understand the reason. So it's not just a case where, oh, I uploaded just because my I mean, my phone is forcing me to do it, or maybe because my manager just asked me to do it. I don't know why we do, but it's part of the process. We are meant to do it. You need to understand why it's being done. So that's what mastery does. Okay. So who can make this transition? Who can come into this field, this marvelous and exciting field of cybersecurity? IT help desk professionals, IT systems administrators, IT network administrators. Now, I've specifically mentioned IT here because IT is the bedrock of everything we do in an organization. IT is the bedrock of cybersecurity, right? However, if you don't have any IT background like I did, I mean, like I never had, right? It's equally important, right? Or it's equally possible as long as you can follow directions, you can pay attention to details and you can use a grocery list, right? As long as you can equally pay attention, you can follow directions, you can use a grocery list. In other words, what am I saying? Anyone can transition into this field. You don't believe me? I'll prove it right now. Okay. So, one of the core requirements for GDPR, and I use GDPR a lot because, well, maybe because I mean it's a very especially for we in this side of the world. I mentioned earlier I'm based in the UK, so GDPR is very important for us here. Massive data protection regulation that changed the face of data privacy across the world. One of its core requirements is personal data must be processed in a manner that ensures adequate security. It's a core requirement. Even though it's a bit vague and sometimes it's open to interpretation, but the core of this requirement is adequate security. So assume you're all working in a bank, right? Everyone on this call, you're working in a bank and you want to, maybe a customer has requested for a new card, a new a debit card. And then you go ahead and you post the debit card to the customer and the PIN number to the card in the same envelope. Would you say that process is done in a manner that ensures adequate security? No, right? So there is a very important concept in information security called CIA. And we're not talking about the intelligence agency in the US. The C stands for confidentiality, the I stands for integrity, and the A stands for availability, right? And everything you ever do as security analyst, it rests on these three basic principles. The confidentiality angle is that you want to ensure that people who have access to that data are supposed to have access to it. They have the right authority to have access to the information. The I talks about integrity, and integrity is essentially saying that you have measures in place to ensure that the data is not tampered with in any way, shape, or form. That someone has not been able to hack into the bank account and added an extra zero to the funds in that account. You know, that's what integrity is saying. And availability is essentially saying that anytime a customer or anyone wants to use this information, that information is available to them at any point in time. Right. So when you're talking about adequate security, the CI triad comes into play. And so that is what this is saying. So I can see a lot of no's here. Okay, good. Now let's go to the PCIDSS. Now this says that security requirements 8.1.8. It says if a session has been idle for more than 15 minutes, require the user to re-authenticate to reactivate the terminal or session. This is pretty much talking about idle time. In other words, if you've been away from a computer for more than 15 minutes, before you come back, it will ask you to put in your password to authenticate your credentials. That's what this is saying. So on screen, I have a screenshot of a firewall, and I want you to pay attention to the firewall inactive time. Here is what? How many minutes can you guys see there? 25 minutes. Good. Okay, good. What does the regulation say? It says what? It's that if a session has been idle for more than 15 minutes, good. And this is 25 minutes, right? So is the firewall idle session configuration compliant? Is it compliant with PCIDSS? No, 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 no. So look at that. You see, check you out. You guys are on your way to becoming security analysts, all right? So congratulations. You know what you've done? You have just performed a cybersecurity risk assessment on a business process as well as an audit on a network firewall. Clap for yourself. You all did well. You earned that, So whip out your resumes and add security risk assessor or risk analyst to it. So now, did you need certifications to do that? What we just did. Did you need IT certifications to do that? Did you need technical skills? Did you even need to know anything about network firewalls? Did you need to understand the configuration? Did you need to configure firewall? All you did was follow the cybersecurity framework, and then you got the job done. So when people ask me the certification question, I flip this and I ask them this: would you rather spend your time chasing certifications or learning a simple cybersecurity framework that could equally complement whatever certifications you have? And the reason why I say this is because interview landscape is changing. For those who are actively interviewing, you begin to realize that interviews has gone beyond, oh, can you define this? Define what is information security. Define, no one is asking that. People want to see what you know. They want to see. So, okay, now I'll throw this question to everyone on the call. Assume you're a hiring manager, right? You're working for maybe one of the big banks or telecom company, and then you require someone to help you implement a security framework, right? You have two CVs. One of the CV has loads of cybersecurity certification. I mean, this guy has every certification on the face of the earth. On the other hand, you have someone he has doesn't have a single certification. However, on the CV, he has shown how he understands this framework. He understands how the PCIDSS framework works. He understands how ISO 27001 works. And you, as a hiring manager, you're looking for someone that can help you in implementing most of this framework. Who would you hire? The first guy that has all the certifications in the world, or the second guy that has no certifications, but he has an understanding? The second guy. So, and that is how I make this so that folks can understand. Certifications are great. Don't get me wrong. Please, nobody should misquote me that you shouldn't have certifications. They are actually great, but it is not a prerequisite to transition into this great industry. It is not. And that is essentially what's my talk today is all about, that you can transition into a career in cybersecurity without technical skills, without certifications. You just need to acquire in-demand specialist skills with a mastery mindset. Guys, it's important. Mastery, to understand why we do this. Right. And one last thing before I go, I took a screenshot of a job I saw on a freelancing website called Upwork. And I know a lot of, well, maybe some folks here might know Upwork. And for those who don't know, Upwork is a freelancing website where you can go and get jobs. And it doesn't matter where you are, anywhere in the world, you can you can actually do some jobs there, right? So this is an information security GRC analyst. Um, Kemi says, but this country believes so much in certifications. So which country are you talking about? Is it UK or Nigeria? You can see you put in brackets UK. Okay. So this role on screen is, look, if you look at the role, is they say they need someone, an information security GRC analyst. And they're talking about, I'm recruiting an information security analyst. The purpose is to support the GRC manager, blah blah blah. And if we scroll down to what is required, they said demonstrable experience within information security, risk management, governance related field, experience in performing risk assessments, experience in developing and maintaining security controls. Then look at it, spoke about a few compliance frameworks, ISO 27000, NIST, and CIS, which I spoke about. Experience within project management parameters, experience in creating awareness programs. So now, in all of this, not one certification has been asked for. And look at how much they were looking to give the person. Hourly between $150 to $180 hourly. They need someone who can work for more than 30 hours a week, and it's an ongoing project for more than 6 months. So even if we look at the lower end of the spectrum, say $150 an hour, say times 30 hours a week, that's how much? That's decent money. I think that's about 4,000 or so, $1,000. And you're right there in your own little corner in Lagos, Abuja, Ajigule, wherever, and you're earning this. And I know a lot of people who are doing this. They are, so this is their own version of Jackpot, right? They're right there, and this is what they're doing and earning in foreign currency. So understanding, and again, you begin to see that a lot of the things you're doing currently in your day job, right? You can complement what you come to do. So soft skills are equally important. How you talk to people, how you manage stakeholders, right? Meetings, communication strategy, how you talk, how you bring people to the table, how you influence. They are equally important skill sets to have. So when you complement your knowledge of these frameworks, then complement, I mean, once you have the knowledge of this framework and complement it with your soft skills, the sky is the limit, guys. The sky is the limit. I used to have a mentee. He's a truck driver. Darren is a truck driver. He's a pure Englishman, and I think we just met somewhere, and he was talking about how he's been trying to break into um um tech. And we just got talking, and I asked him, and he says that the reason is he feels he doesn't have experience. And I said, "What makes you feel you don't have experience?" Yeah, I've never done IT before. And I asked him, "Okay, so you're a truck driver. He has a truck, he owns a truck, and he drives for most of these retail companies. It takes goods from their warehouse to the stores in different cities. So he can drive from one end of the UK to the other end of the UK with the organization's good." And I asked him, I said, "Okay, so before you set out on a journey, what do you do?" And he says, "Oh yeah, he checks his the engine, he checks his guts, that is if the what's it called, the he called it one name, I can't remember, but basically just saying that he's putting ensuring that the engine is in order. He checks his engine oil level, he checks his brakes, that his brake pads are working. He checks, goes around, looks at the lights, all the indicators, the lights, everything is functioning, and all that he has the right treading on his tires and all of that." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Why do you do that?" He said, "Because it's part of the conditions, or it's part of the requirements of the transport regulators, right?" So here in the UK, they're called the DVSA. So an equivalent of FRSC in Nigeria, because they have those regulations that you must follow. I said, "Okay, now what happens when something is not compliant?" He says, "Oh, he just puts measures in place to ensure that they're compliant. So if the brake pad is not working, he immediately changes it or gets a new one, but he doesn't move or to go on a journey without all of this is getting compliant." I said, "Why is that so?" He said, "Because at the end of the day, if there's a situation and he has to brake and he can't brake, he'll put himself in trouble." And I said, "Do you know everything you've just spoken to me about is risk assessments? And it's no different from how a cybersecurity analyst is going to do that. You mentioned external regulators. We have cybersecurity frameworks that we to follow. We have requirements from external regulators that we follow. And we ensure that the requirements they set is what the company is complying with. Now, in this instance, your company is your truck. The regulators, though, the things you're looking at is what has come from those framework." And I said, "So what other experience are you looking for than that?" The only difference is you now have to see how we can use that experience, your knowledge of doing the risk assessments, have an understanding of what the security frameworks are, and then use that same method. You do those requirements or compliance checks and do it for the organization. So you are working in maybe you're a customer service officer, you're working as a sales professional, you are full, I can guarantee that you are following certain guidelines. You're not working in isolation. As a customer service officer, I'm sure you have like maybe templates, scripts that you follow, standard operating procedure that the organization has asked you. Oh, if a call comes in, this is how you answer the call. This is depending on what the customer is asking for. This is the process. This is how cybersecurity, we have those regulations, we have those things as well that comes from the framework. So when people tell me that they don't have experience, I say, you have more experience than you even realize it. All you need is someone that can help you channel the experience you have to leverage or make you understand the security frameworks and leverage your current experience. Guys, I hope I'm making sense. This is another a screenshot. This is another role as well that I saw. Again, remote working, experience of project work, which I'm sure everybody on this call would have. You would, in one capacity or another, worked on a project, right? Excellent communication skills, stakeholder management, knowledge of security risk management, strong documentation skills. Yes, you must actually understand how to document. Communication is also very important in this field, right? Because you are that person who is the bridge You're communicating what the technical areas of the business, like if you have like maybe you're the one connecting the business to the technical department, basically, that's it. You're that conduit, right? So a lot of your soft skills that I'm sure you all have would come into light, right? So this is Upwork. This is a freelancing website. You can check it. Upwork. Maybe um you can check that a lot of organizations around the world post jobs like this for people. So you can work from anywhere in the world and you can earn as much as this 150 to 120 to $150 from the convenience of your home. Just have an internet connection. That is it. So, guys, I hope I have been able to convince you and not confuse you and shed lights that even if you don't have technical skills, even if you don't have IT certifications, university degrees, or any of those technical must haves, you can absolutely transition into this great field of cybersecurity. Thank you very much. And now I will take your questions.
Wow, this is loaded. Thank you, Akin. This
Thank you,
is
sir.
wow. We're not sure the time was actually moving. Thank you. This session is loaded, and
Thank you.
I am sure that everyone on the call got I got a lot in terms of the aspect of mastery, specialist, generalist. Wow. Thank you for those
You're welcome.
input, and also for making the session an engaging one. All right, I let me try to share my screen and just
All right.
see. So please, if you have any question, please put it in the chat and I will pick it up shortly. And going, I think we're done with this side. So in terms of what Akin spoke about around skills, so currently we're running a program on a cybersecurity mentoring group, which essentially is getting people to, not focusing on certification, but getting them to be aware of the expectation of employers. And so we started and we're currently in, I think we've had our 12th class. We had our 12th class today, Saturday and Thursday, we meet. We have 13 people in the class, and we're far gone. So we are actually getting to almost the end of the program. So it's part of one way we think that people can gather the skills. There are practical sessions and assignments. In fact, right now the team have 3 assignments to submit on on Thursday, and it is to make sure that you are not just focusing on getting your certifications, but you're actually getting the skills that are required to carry the job. And on the other side, we have some opportunity because some people are looking for experience, and we thought that there are things that you can do on your own. And part of it is creating content for cybersecurity and sharing on the group. Um, your digital footprint is very important. If you say you are looking for a role in cyber, and nobody can trace anything in cyber on your profile, it's not adding anything to you. So the platform is global. Why not leverage it for some opportunity that maybe when you are sleeping, people are checking your profile. What are they seeing on that profile? So if you are interested, you can just get across to me. We already created a template where you just develop material. And with the age of AI, you can easily develop materials. And I can give us some examples of cyber issues. You can actually develop contents to demonstrate how people can mitigate against those kind of vulnerabilities. I think this is so we are on a channel. This videos or this session is recorded and uploaded on our channel, so you can follow. Even the one with the weekly training that is going on, you can follow it on the YouTube channel. And we have a LinkedIn page. We will be, I think maybe after this call or by tomorrow, we should be 1,000 um, members on that group, and it's been a journey since we started sometime, or since we registered a group sometime in I think maybe September last year. So 1,000 people so far in the group, and it's growing. And thank Akin for doing this session on the 17th. We already also have our speaker for 31st, and we're looking forward to another session. Let me go to the question and see if there's anyone asking question in the chat. Okay. Akin, I think there are some questions you can pick and speak to.
Yeah, I can see. Okay, so Olusegun asks, how does the mentor okay, so I think Mr. Wale has explained how the mentorship works for someone like me, so I won't talk about that. Uh Ruth says, thanks for such a great how thorough I thoroughly enjoy. Okay, question, how did you get okay, how did I get my first job and how did I get my mentor? That's a very fantastic question. So again, I mentioned I came from finance. I came from accounting and finance. One day I just picked up the interest in cybersecurity and I reached out to someone on LinkedIn. So, as Mr. Wale has just mentioned now, the importance of digital footprints, I cannot overemphasize how important that is. I reached out to him and I said and I introduced myself that I'm a security enthusiast. I would like to understand. I can see you have great experience. Do you mind becoming my mentor? There's nothing, just something as little as that. And it begins to let you understand that even though that a lot of people are busy, right? But there is people want to help, especially when they see people that when they come to them in that manner, they would want to assist. And he helped me, he assisted me. I had a session with him. He asked me a couple of questions about my IT background, my technical background. He realized I had none, and he said, "It's okay, don't worry. There's this field." And he was the one who introduced me into the domain of GRC, where I didn't necessarily need to have technical experience. Now, you don't need to have technical experience, but you need to understand technical things. So that's another thing I want to make clear. You need to have an understanding. And what do I mean? And the reason why you need to have that is because you want to be able to hold your conversation in a group. If people are talking about firewalls, firewall configuration, you don't necessarily need to understand how to configure a firewall, but you need to know what a firewall is so that you can come in and put in your input. So when people say that it is a non-technical avenue to get into cybersecurity, I always try to put a caveat that yes, even though it's a non-technical avenue, it doesn't necessarily negate your understanding of technical um you know, principles. You need to understand it. You need to know technical things. So that was how I got my mentor, and it wasn't free. That's another thing I'll tell people. Sometimes we like free mentorship, but I paid for this guy to take me serious because, you know, I'm asking someone to give me his free time. Time he could spend with his wife, with his kids, with his family. Also have to come with something. I have to show commitments so that he can take me serious as well. So personal development, guys, it doesn't come free. If you want to go on this journey and you need mentorship, be willing to at least pay something. You be willing because that is what will make you committed. Please share your LinkedIn profile. I mean, my name is Akin Odedina. A quick check on LinkedIn will bring, and I'm also in the mentoring group as well. Mr. Wallis group on LinkedIn as well. For the weekly training, okay, I'm sure Mr. Wale would explain that. Are you available to mentor me? I'm in the group. I'm in the group on LinkedIn. So, and it's important to come out. If you have questions, it's important to just ask and those questions in the group so that other people can take advantage of it as well. And Mr. Wiley mentioned something very important. I was going to mention it during my presentation, but I forgot. You see, digital footprints is very, very, very important, especially if you want to get a job. And why do I say this? Because I'm friends with hiring managers, I'm friends with recruiters, and some of them oftentimes they tell me that they see a post comes up on your LinkedIn profile. They are not friends with this person, but they've seen somebody else like this person's post. And all of a sudden, it brings it down to their profile. And they see, let's say, for instance, let me see, who can I call? Let's say Joshua, for instance, keeps posting some content on LinkedIn about cybersecurity. Oh, there's been a cyber breach. And he goes there and he puts his 2 cents on how that organization could have been better. You are creating awareness that you are in this field, or either you're in the field or you're interested in this field. You create content, and as Mr. Wale has mentioned again, there are AI tools that can help you craft, like, your thoughts, even if you can't put it well. At least put in some of the things you have in ChatGPT or any of this, and it will craft out your thoughts very well in a very professional way that when readers see, they understand what the message you're trying to convey. Keep doing that. Keep posting things on LinkedIn, and your and the algorithm of LinkedIn is very fantastic. It begins to push your profile up to people that are looking for people like you.
Mm.
So, and this recruiter told me something. He said anytime a client reaches out to them that they need somebody in cybersecurity, that fine, they go ahead and they post the jobs. But before they post the jobs, they have one or two people that they've been following. They've been seeing them churn articles, and they reach out to them first,
Mm.
saying, "Oh, I've got this great opportunity. I think you'll be a great fit for it. I've looked at your profile. I've seen a lot of the things you do. You know, can we have a quick conversation to see if you're." And I have that sent to me a couple of times where recruiters will reach out to me first. And if I'm available, I'll say yes, I'm available. If I'm not, I'll say, oh, unfortunately, I'm currently in a role at the moment, but I can recommend someone to you who equally has a fit. So that is what it does. Attention, it brings attention to your profile, it gets people interested in what you have to say, and it puts you up there. It makes you top of mind to hiring managers or recruiters.
Thank you. There's nothing to add to the explanation. And for the weekly training, it's currently closed because we started sometime in April and we've done our 15th class. It's 15th or 13th class. I think it's 13th class. We should round up around early June. So we are almost at the end of um, a security operation analyst course, which is SC200, Microsoft SC200. But we are planning another one. So in the group chat, we have a WhatsApp group. It's just an information page. We don't interact there. There was a survey I posted sometime last month, and um, Contier Security and I think ISC2 cybersecurity certification, the entry level one, were the two certification that people said they either are pursuing or are interested in. And what we try to do, so the training is not about certification actually. We look for something that we know can help people get their leg into the field. And ISC2 um, content looks like something that will be very good. Also, Comtia security look like something that someone that is trying to get into the area field would flow with. But ultimately, we prioritize getting your own personal lab, you know, having your own lab to be able to practice some of those things that you will be taught or you will read. And that's a lot of the things that we have done in the current class that is ongoing. So please hang around in the group. We will share. We use the group to recruit people for the training. Again, we have facilitators that are spending their time. Sometimes it is not the facilitator that is the problem; it's the people that badly don't show up. So we would make it kind of more strict. I will either start with either CompTIA or ISC2 entry level cybersecurity course, and then run that for another maybe 2 or 3 months. We'll just look for a more convenient time, but we'll open that up very soon for people to show interest in. I think we are done for today, and I just want to thank you, Akin, for your time. Thank you so much. This is a very, very, very insightful session, and I'm sure that everyone who wants to who is interested in cybersecurity will get something. Okay, I think maybe I need to pause that because someone is mic is on that's maybe they are not aware of. Okay, okay,
Alide, please,
okay.
can you go
Let
on
me
mute?
mute. Yeah, I've muted it. All right, so I think we are done, and I'm wishing everyone a good day. So, like I said, the recording session for the class, the Microsoft class we're having, is on the page. You can go to my YouTube channel, you will be able to see everything. Even this session, I'm going to upload it. So you really won't miss a lot. It's just for you to follow the class. It's recorded and you can follow the practice sections and the rest. How to set up your lab and your Microsoft environment and subscriptions and all that. Thanks, Akin. I would still thank you in our chat, private chat. All right, everyone. Thank you, and do have a wonderful weekend.